look like I rolled around in a pool all day, and I am not mad at it at all. Hello, welcome to my video. If you're from my Instagram, I love you. If you're not from my Instagram, love you all the same. So as you can see, today's look is really not eye heavy, which is something that I normally love to do. But today I felt the soft glam spirit, and I brought you a little bit of a smoked out wing type of moment. But the focus really isn't on the eyes, it's all about the glowy, glassy, dewy skin that I personally love to do in the summertime, and also sometimes in the winter if my skin is feeling a little bit dull. But yeah, if you're into this sort of thing, if you're feeling the vibes, then please keep on watching. Okay, so since this eye look isn't going to be as heavy as I normally do, I'm applying a thinner layer of eye base all over. Now taking a black eyeshadow, I'm using the shade Lash Lift from Trixie Cosmetics. I'm following the natural line of my lower lash line, and I'm just flicking that up into sort of a winged shape like this. Now, as you can see, this really doesn't have to be precise at all. I'm not worried about that right now. This is gonna get smoked out and winged out anyway. So at this point, because I have a lot of little creases around my eyes, I'm looking straight into a mirror and I'm dabbing the black eyeshadow right on the outer corner of my eye, and I'm trying to connect it with that wing. Now again, this really doesn't have to be precise, and I'm also making sure to blend this well into my lashes. I don't want any gaps right there. Next, I'm taking a sort of darker gray shade, and I'm using On the Rocks by P. Louise, and I'm really just blending that wing. So this is how that's looking like. This is exactly how I want the shape to look. Of course, I'm gonna blend this and smoke this out a little bit more, but the shape is pretty much done. Now I'm using my final shade, an even lighter gray, and for me that's Untie the Rocks by P. Louise. And again, looking straight forward and just blending those two colors out. Of course, in between applying all these shades, I was using the same brush, but I was cleaning it off. Now this is a really pretty gray with sort of like blue undertones, and looking straight forward and applying it is really helping me get that desired blend and shape combo. Now that that's done, I'm just taking a small detailed blending brush and I'm just buffing that last shade out, and then we're going to apply the same shades that we already did but in their reversed order just to strengthen them a little bit. You already know the drill. Now I'm going back to that tiny brush and I'm dipping into shade On the Rocks, and I'm just applying it wherever I lost some of its intensity, and I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. Now really, again, I'm just dabbing this on lightly. I'm not dragging it or blending it out just yet. And last but not least, same thing again with the shade Lash Lift. That was the black, and I'm trying to keep this as close to my lash line as possible. Now when it comes to a look like this, sometimes you really have to go between blending and then applying more color and blending again until you find that perfect balance. But I think mine is pretty good now. I'm pretty satisfied, so I'm just gonna move on. Now for the most fun part, which is cleaning off the edges. I'm using my eye base and I'm just tracing along the edges of this look to really clean them up and make them sharp. So the wings, which are, in my opinion, the most important part of this eye look, are now done. And now by the time I've finished them, usually my eye base would have creased a little, as you can clearly see right here. So I'm just taking the same brush that I used to apply my eye base with, and it's clean. I mean, it's not clean, but there's nothing on it, no more eye base. And I'm just sort of pressing down on the creases until they disappear, just like this. See, this is the before, this is the after. Now, before I apply a shimmery shade to the lids, I'm just gonna set what I've done here, just so that the creases don't reappear, and I'm gonna set it with a flesh-toned eyeshadow. I'm dipping into the KKW X Mario palette, and I'm using the shade Decade, which, as you can see, is basically a shade that matches my skin tone, and I'm applying it on with a fluffy brush. I'm just applying a very light wash of that on my lids. Now, as my shimmer, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Diamond Balm in the shade How Many Carats, and I'm just taking it on my middle finger, and I'm just applying it wherever I feel like, basically. This shimmer, by the way, photographs so beautifully. So now, as a last touch, I'm taking a liquid liner pen. This is an Art Deco pen, it's black, and I'm just connecting the inner corner to the rest of that wing. And again, I'm just making sure I get right into the lash line with this as well. So I'm pretty much done with the eyes. This is my little version of a soft glam. I felt like it today. I'm now just gonna apply some lash primer and then move on to the face and then circle back to mascara later. I talk about this lash primer in all of my videos, I feel like, but it really helps me keep my lashes lifted, which normally don't stay lifted literally for anything. It doesn't matter what kind of mascara I apply. They're always sort of narrow, but this really helps them get lifted and stay lifted, which is why I literally never skip this step. And it helps me to look down into a mirror while doing this because it's gonna coat the lashes from the root to the tip fully. So I'm starting off with the Benefit Professional, and I'm just applying a light little layer of that on my nose and around it just because I want to blur the existing pores there. Now for the rest of my face, I'm using the primer that I actually tried out in my last video. I'm going to link it right up here if you want to watch it. But it's a Bell Hypoallergenic Primer and it has hemp seed extract. It's called the Anti-Smog Primer. And I really liked it last time and I want to try more of it, so I'm just applying it all over the rest of my face today. Now I'm going to wait for that to get just a little tacky, maybe about half a minute to a minute. Then I'm going in with my liquid highlighter. This is a L'Oreal one, and I'm just applying it to the high points of my face. Now since it is summertime and I really like the effect of glass skin on me, and especially during the summertime, I'm really applying it liberally all over my entire face. But obviously, since I'm applying it before applying foundation, some of it is still gonna get covered. So I really wanna make sure that I'm applying quite a lot because I still want it to be visible underneath the foundation. So now that I'm pretty much visible from space, I'm just gonna apply some foundation on top of this. Today I'm using the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, and I'm first applying it with my finger all over my entire face, but I am skipping the areas where I did apply the highlighter. So yeah, but I like working in sections. I'm first gonna start off with this section of my face, then I'm gonna move on to this one and then the forehead. So now that it's applied, I'm grabbing my beauty blender and I'm just gonna buff it in, blend it in, and I'm first blending it in everywhere where the highlight is not located. And then at the very end, with whatever's left on the beauty blender, I'm just gonna lightly go over the highlighted areas as well. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about. I'm just lightly brushing over those areas now. So now again, repeating the same steps on this side of my face. So now as I'm waiting for the foundation to get tacky on my forehead, I also like to clean up the edges on the upper part of my eyebrows with the foundation as well. And then again, just blend everything together. Now I'm just applying some concealer to all the areas that need a little extra love today. And as usual, I'm just using a slightly lighter concealer on my under eyes. I waited for that to get just a little bit more tacky, and now I'm gonna blend it out. And since I cannot simply live in a world where my under eyes are not set, I'm just gonna set them. But I'm not gonna bake, I'm literally wiping this off immediately. So I'm using all cream products today, since I really want to, you know, keep that dewy glow going. And this is a Juvia's Place foundation, actually. Now this looks a little crazy right now, but I'm just gonna blend it out, okay? You have to trust me. So now that it's mostly blended with the brush, I'm just taking my beauty blender and whatever's left over on it, and I'm going over all those harsh lines. So as you can see, that looks much better now. Now for blush, I'm gonna use the Benefit Cha-Cha tint. It's a really pretty peachy orange, which is why I'm gonna use it today. And again, if you went a little overboard, beauty blender, whatever's left on it, and just pat. Right, now I'm circling back to mascara, and this is an oldie but a goodie. It's the Max Factor 2000 Calorie. Now it's time for possibly the most important step, which is highlighter. I'm using a Wet n Wild highlighter today. It's the Mega Glow in Precious Petals. I'm obsessed with this. If you want a really glassy, natural glow, this is the one for you. And I'm just applying that wherever we applied the liquid highlighter earlier. And on top of that, I'm also applying some of the Diamond Balm. I really wanted to give glow from within. Look how pretty and sparkly that is. Now as far as lips, I'm just gonna line them with a nude lip liner, and then we're gonna continue. So this is a nude peachy lip liner that I swear by. I use it literally every day. Now I'm using another Revlon lippy. This is the second one in 2 videos, which is a surprise. I never really used Revlon lippies. Now I'm blending it in with my finger. Now as a little finishing touch in the middle of my lips, I'm using a Revlon, again, Lacquer Balm in the shade Enchanting. And I'm just applying that in the very inner corner of my lips, like this, and again blending that in. So already I really like this effect. I was thinking of whether or not I should apply lip gloss on top of this because the finish of these lippies is so beautiful already, but of course I need some gloss. So this is actually a NYX lip oil. It has a reddish hue to it. It's called Cherry. or cranberry, I think. Cranberry mint. I think it adds a really cute little girl next door type of vibe to this look. But with that, that's it for today's look. What do you think? Comment below. I think it's really pretty. You know, the eyes are not so heavy, which is great for the summertime, but the face obviously is caked on, but it also looks glassy and natural. Sort of. You know, let's not kid ourselves. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!